All right, so one of the last slides here. This is the 401k. So a lot of people are like, oh, I have my money all invested in the stock market. And I got, anytime you put in a 401k, that simply means you're putting it into all kinds of different things. So you're trying to diversify yourself. And this is Warren Buffett, who's considered, the sage of investing. He said, why diversification is only required when investors do not understand what they are doing. So what does the stock market do? It moves in three directions. You've got up, down, and sideways. So what does that mean to you? 401ks can only make money when it's going up. If it's going down, clearly you don't make money. But when it's going sideways, it depends what your 401k is, but you're only going to get some dividends from companies that you typically pay 1%, 2%. But that doesn't keep up with inflation. So government inflation they stay at about 3%, and real inflation is closer to 8%. So if you're only getting dividends when the stock market is going sideways of about 2 or 3%, and inflation is running at 8%, you're literally becoming 5% less wealthy every year, and that is the real reason the middle class is collapsing. Also, one thing with 401k is a bit of a myth here. People always, like, oh, when I retire, I'll be in a lower tax bracket. But a lot of times it's not true. A lot of times people are actually in a higher tax bracket because when you retire, you're typically making, or close to it anyway, the height of your salary. And then when you retire, you probably have your house paid off. You don't have a side business. You don't have kids. They're out of the house. You don't have any write-offs. So whatever you take out of the 401k goes right back to the government. Also, there's all kinds of stats on this, but 401ks almost always underperform the market. And there's all kinds of hidden fees. So the one thing I want you to take a look here at this chart, this is, to me, is very important, but you've got right here, you've got a divergence here. You've got the dollar, which is this green and red lines here, and then this is the actual stock market, the blue line here. You can see how when the dollar goes up, the stock market goes down, and when the dollar goes down, the stock market goes up. So I haven't slammed it home enough. As they print more money, the value of the dollar goes down, right, because there's more of it. But then when there's more of those dollars, it gets forced into the stock market, or whatever it is, that pushes prices higher. So it's very easy for a politician to say, hey, look at this, once again, the stock market is going up, everything's fine. But in reality, it's not. It's because the dollar keeps going down, and everything around us, for you and me, the average Joe, it gets more and more expensive. And eventually it just leads to a collapse because all of your paycheck will be going to food and energy just to keep yourself alive. So if I haven't totally depressed you and you haven't jumped off a bridge yet, what is your next move? So you're going to keep your money in the bank where you earn less than 1% interest now. I think a lot of banks pay 0.75% interest. I mean, what is the point of that, right? You have to have millions of dollars in there, and you still aren't going to get much of a return. You're going to put it into the stock market. It really doesn't do anything. It's like up and down every day. And it's being supported by a cheaper dollar. If the dollar were to actually strengthen, it's my opinion the stock market would just absolutely crash. And bonds, this is a joke. This is a huge bubble brewing right now. I believe the 7 and 10-year bonds are now under 2%. So would you give somebody money right now, like your friend or something like that? Would you give them $1,000 if they were like, hey, in 10 years, I'll give you your money back and only 2%? I mean, I don't know who in the right mind would do that. So what is your next move? Hopefully, if you've been listening this long, you've figured it out. But it's gold and silver, duh. Anytime you have a country, it doesn't matter who it is or what country it is. It doesn't matter if you're the best country in the world. As I've hopefully demonstrated, a lot of the empires collapsed because they had massive amounts of debt, because they had a huge military. And they resort, when you're out of money, the only thing you can do is devalue your currency. It doesn't matter if you have a printing press, which we have today, and they don't even print it anymore, honestly. They just have little electronic digits. But it doesn't matter if you have a printing press or if you're taking your gold coins and clipping them and melting them down into smaller gold coins, or if you're mixing other metals. Real gold and silver will always go up in value because it's real money and it keeps a store of value. So my hope is that this has been eye-opening for you and you are at least going to go down the road of investigating this further. I don't want to get any emails from people, hey, I just sold my house and I put it all into silver. I am not going to be impressed by that. But you may be sitting there thinking, well, I don't know how to do this. I work at, wherever I work, and I'm not an expert in investing. I don't know anybody on Wall Street. Do I have to be an expert to do this? No, you don't have to be an expert. It's really not that hard. And what I've done is I've put together a book to help walk you through this. Once people figure this stuff out, or they've been researching it on their own, or just listening to me talk, the most common questions I get are, so how do I buy it? Where do I store it? And when do I sell it? So my guide that I put together, it's going to go through all of that. I've actually put together the websites that I use most frequently and why I do that, and the pros and cons to each of those. Where do you store it? All kinds of different places, ways to be safe about it, the different avenues you can take to do that, and then when to sell it. I've also put together some extensive stuff on when to actually unload your silver. Silver and gold, much like anything else in life, will become a bubble at some point, and you'll want to unload it and move it into other avenues. So what's the last big hurdle for people? To me, or at least from talking to people, it's they get intimidated by investing. They're either scared off by the technical language that's being used today on TV, or they've heard their neighbor had some horror story about how they lost all kinds of money investing in the stock market or whatever it was they were investing in. And my fear for people is that being scared or intimidated by investing will cause inaction. And what I don't want to happen is for you to watch this video, go research what's going on in the world, understand everything that is happening, and then do absolutely nothing about it and not take advantage of what I consider to be the most epic opportunity of our generation. So if you're feeling a little bit unsure of what to do next, why not check out my book? It's called Beginner's Guide to Investing in Silver. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to walk you through the entire process I'll go into further depth why you should buy silver, how you should buy it, where to store it, and then when to sell it so you can maximize your profits. The other thing is I'm going to give you a 100% money back guarantee. Anything I do in life, I typically have a passion for it. This is no different, and I stand behind what I do. So you really have nothing to lose. Should you buy this and you hate it, you don't like it for whatever reason, you didn't learn anything from it, I don't care what the reason is. You just send me a little note and I will give you 100% of your money back. The other question I get a lot from people is it too late to buy it given it's gone up in price? The answer is absolutely not. The book will go into great detail of all kinds of other reasons I didn't touch upon in the video, why silver is going to go up in price, or why I believe that it will. And then the last thing, as far as the cost goes, I've made it very simple to purchase it. It's less than 1 ounce of silver, and you're buying something that's going to protect yourself and your family. So to recap this really quickly, you're going to be spending less than $20 on a book that's going to hopefully educate you, and as I'm sure a lot of you know, knowledge is power. It's also going to help insulate you should our government continue its policy of printing money, and you might even get rich in the process. And don't think of being rich as a bad thing. If you want, you could take that money and help other people. And lastly, you have nothing to fear. You've got a 100% money back guarantee, so why would you not do this? So to purchase the book, simply click the links below or type in www.silver-liberties.com. At this point, I want to thank everybody again for listening. I hope it was educational for you. I hope you learned something. I would love it if you would share it with your friends and family. Lastly, feel free to make comments below. Thanks again, everybody.